Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and we are still working with our daggers. So we just finished UV mapping our daggers. So if you didn't get that video, make sure you look for it. And this is what we got for UV mapping. So we've got 4 UDIM tiles. I've got the pommel, we've got the handle, we've got the guard and the blade. And we've got them all set up in 4 UDIM tiles. Okay, I took you through all that and even took you through saving it via snapshot. So that's all done. And then we're going to go to the other dagger, and we'll look at that, the UVs for that, and it's basically the same layout. Okay, I just have a lot more detail in this particular layout, so don't let that fool you. Everything's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Everything, I saved the UV snapshot, so please watch that video for UV mapping. Should take you through everything that you need to know. All right, so the daggers, the backup daggers that I sent you guys are should be on in the announcements. I also have it in module 5 too as well, that you can use the backup daggers if you want to. If something happens to yours, you just can't get it to work. My backup daggers will work. I've already tested everything, so you should be good to go. All right, so how did I arrange it? So if you look in the layers editor, you can see right here that I've got the low poly and the high poly right there. Now you've got the edge loop version of these. If you look at, put wireframe on, you can see that I've got edge loops and they're all set up. So if there's some changes that you want to make to the daggers, you can at this stage before we move on to adding textures to it. But I've got those in there for you as a backup, but you can turn those off. But what we're going to focus on is the high poly, right? So we've got the high poly. I'm going to hit the 5 key and then turn off the wireframe on shaded. You can see that we've got some nice hard edges there, so hard surface modeling turned out really nice for those. Okay. All right, so with that said, now you're ready for the texturing process. So how do we do that? How do we take this information and place it on to, or bake the maps to create this level right here? You can see that that's going to be a little different than the low poly dagger. Okay. And in fact, we could probably take just a disk and replace that with the low poly if we really wanted to. So here's our low poly. Let's turn that off a minute. There's our low poly. Okay. And we've got that detail in there, but we actually could take this and turn this into low poly and have that indentation bake out, and that's what you really want to use it for, and that would be fine if you wanted to do that. So, but right now I'm going to go ahead and bake the maps and see how it turns out. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn both of these on. So I've got the lower 2, okay, and the upper 2 on. The visibility is on. So if I hit the 4 key, you can see that the low poly is just right over top of the high poly. Okay, here's the low poly, as you can see, and the high poly is underneath. Okay, all right, great. So that's what you want. You want to be able to have the low poly and the high poly. So we're going to save them out separately, though. The low poly is inside of the high poly is inside of the low poly. Okay, so let's turn the high poly off for now. Okay, and we're just going to expose just the low poly. Okay, so I'm going to click on the Clover dagger and go to File, Save or Export Selection. And we're going to save as an OBJ. Okay, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it Dagger 1, and I'm going to call it low. Okay, Dagger 1 low. Okay, and then we're going to click on the other one, and we're going to go to File, Export Selection, Go into the option box. We want object mode. And we're going to click on the Dagger 1 and just call it Dagger 2. There we go. So those are the Dagger 1 low, Dagger 2 low. Okay. All right, then we're going to turn these off, and we're going to go to the high poly Dagger 1 and high poly Dagger 2. Make sure you have those selected. And we're going to go to File, Export Selection, and do the same thing. Okay, but this time we're going to call it high. So I'm going to type in high. So Dagger 1 high.obj. And we'll click on the other one and do the same exact thing. Okay, so we're going to export 4 objects. Okay, so this will be Dagger 2, but we'll just type in high on that one. There we go. There you go. Export selection. And that's it. So now you're ready to move on to the next section.